cover them in the first instance. Might even say to shield them. The first two cover, we're told, cover their faces. Now, children, this is not the seraphim hiding from God's eyes. Right? Children, sometimes you see a little child and they put their hands up. You know, they're hiding themselves from the person that's looking on them. That's not what's happening. It's not that direction where the seraphim are hiding themselves from the gaze of the Lord, but rather it is the reverse. They're hiding their eyes from God's face, the revelation of God's glory. And so the picture here is of being covered, of being shielded, of being overwhelmed by the majesty of God, which is all the more significant when we remember these are unfallen beings. These are beings that are holy, that are absolutely sinless, that have never known from the beginning of their existence any taint of sin at all. And yet, though sinless, they are still creatures. And as creatures, they are overwhelmed by the divine majesty of God and the intensity of the glory of all that God is leads them to cover their faces. We're told that they also used two wings to cover their feet. Here the picture, I believe, is the unapproachability of God, right? The inability to approach unto him. This is holy ground, and there are no feet holy enough, as it were, on their own to draw irresistibly near to him. And then we're told that there are two wings with which they fly. In other words, the picture is movement. Here we have depicted the fact that it is they exist to serve the Lord, to do his bidding, to obey his commandments, to accomplish his purposes. Movement, to go and do as he directs them. It's interesting because here and elsewhere, this whole picture of holiness and the revelation of God's glory, and I've said this before, has simultaneously a twofold effect. There's in a sense a drawing near to the Lord, right? There's in a sense a desire to be near him, to catch something, a glimpse even of his glory, to be ravished with his beauty. There is that in a sinless creature, while simultaneously a need to shield or cover oneself, to pull back, if you will, to be hidden from that glory. And that's true with regards to holiness always. It's true for the Lord's people. You know, we worship him in the beauty of his holiness. We'll talk more of this in a moment. And we want to draw near, we want to see, we want to behold, we want to have a glimpse and gaze of it. And yet there's at the same time that response of Peter where, "Depart from me, I am a sinful man," or Isaiah's response, "Woe unto me," a sense of needing to withdraw as well. Both of these things are held in tension. They exist to adore, magnify, worship, and praise and honor the God of glory. And they pour out of their beings these words, "Holy, holy, holy." This is expressive of the inexhaustible perfection of the Lord. Holiness. Right? It's speaking of the very essence of his perfections. Holiness captures at least two things. One, this sense of separation. So that's dominant. To be holy is to be separate. Well, these are sinless beings, yet they're creatures. And there's a separation that exists between the infinite majesty of God in his essence and everything outside of him. Every form and type of creation. There's separation. That carries through in terms of our use of holiness. This book says Holy Bible because it's separate from every other book. We have the Holy Supper because it's separate from every other meal. We have a holy people, the church, because they're separate from the world. We can go on and on. Right? There's holiness here, it includes separation, and it does include as well, secondly, the idea of intense divine purity. Utter sinlessness, the antithesis, the absence, being devoid entirely of anything that taints, purity in its very essence. God is of purer eyes than to behold iniquity.